1923 Season 2 has already set up Spencer's role in the Duttons' war for Yellowstone. Spencer Dutton, Brandon Sklenar, will have to take a major role in the battle for the Yellowstone Ranch in 1923 Season 2. And the prequel show is already setting up exactly what his job will be. 1923 Season 2. Episode 3 saw Spencer finally make some headway in his journey towards Montana, but he was sidetracked yet again. He and Luca, Andy Dispenza, hit a roadblock as they were bootlegging whiskey, and Luca was killed in a shootout with the law. Though Spencer will have an even longer journey ahead of him, 1923 at least made some progress in setting up his story once he reaches the Yellowstone. While the Yellowstone spin-off show is mostly concerned with the Dutton family, other members of the cast of 1923 also play an important role in the ranch's generational story. For instance, Zane Davis, Brian Girardi, and his family, who was taken from him due to Montana's law against interracial marriage, have played a large role in 1923 Season 2 already. While they have helped show some of the injustices common in America in the 1920s, Zane was actually important for another reason in 1923 Season 2, Episode 3. He set up Spencer's story once he gets to Montana. One of the biggest developments in 1923 Season 2, Episode 3 concerned Zane Davis. As the doctor explained, Zane needs surgery to control the bleeding in his brain, and there was no anesthesia at the ranch. Regardless of whether the surgery is successful or not, Zane is going to be out of commission for a long time, which opens the door for Spencer to take his place. Before his beating, Zane was the wagon boss for the Yellowstone in 1923, the same role Rip Wheeler, Cole Hauser, had in Yellowstone, and Spencer will likely take his place once he finally reaches Montana. If Spencer does end up taking Zane's place as the Yellowstone's wagon boss, it could work perfectly for the Duttons' war against Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, and Banner Creighton, Jerome Flynn. As a wagon boss, Spencer will be able to essentially patrol the entire ranch, and his experience with warfare and big game hunting will make him extremely dangerous to anyone who tries to attack. The position would also give him command of all the other cowboys employed by the Duttons, so Spencer will have a small army of hired guns that he can ride into battle with. Spencer becoming the Yellowstone's wagon boss could also give him the experience he needs to run the ranch one day, and that day may come sooner than expected. 1923 has already shown that winter is taking no survivors, and there's a very good chance that members of the Dutton family could die in the war between them and Whitfield. If Jacob, for example, dies in 1923 Season 2, Spencer would inherit the Yellowstone Ranch, as he's the only surviving child of Jacob, Tim McGraw, and Margaret Dutton, Faith Hill. Jack, Darren Mann, is technically his nephew, and would likely run the ranch after Spencer's death. The Dutton family tree is a big reason why Spencer may run the Yellowstone by the end of 1923 Season 2, but the prequel show has also paved the way for it as well. At the start of 1923, Spencer was running from his PTSD and avoiding his responsibilities in Africa. Now, however, Spencer is traveling across the world to save his family, and he may be much more willing to accept the responsibility of running the ranch. Plus, he and Alexandra, Julia Schlapfer, will have a child to raise, which may be yet another reason Spencer will settle down in 1923 Season 2. Paramount's 1923 is shaping up to be one of the most pivotal chapters in the Yellowstone universe, and Season 2 has already laid the groundwork for Spencer Dutton's role in the war for the Yellowstone Ranch. As Taylor Sheridan continues to expand the saga of the Dutton family, it's becoming increasingly clear that Spencer is more than just a wandering adventurer. He's a battle-hardened warrior whose return to Montana will likely turn the tide of the family's brutal fight for survival. From the very beginning of 1923, Spencer's journey has been one of resilience, tragedy, and purpose. While Jacob, Harrison Ford, and Cara Dutton, Helen Mirren, struggled to keep the Yellowstone Ranch afloat against greedy land barons and violent sheepherders, Spencer, Brandon Sklenar, was worlds away, carving his own path through the African wilderness. His skills as a hunter, his ability to survive against all odds, and his deep well of emotional pain make him the perfect weapon in the looming battle for the family's legacy. The prodigal son returns, but at what cost? One of the most gripping elements of Spencer's character arc is his gradual realization that he cannot outrun his destiny. Season 1 saw him living as a big game hunter in Africa, haunted by the trauma of World War I and the ghosts of his past. But letters from his Aunt Cara calling him home signaled that his family needed him more than ever. The journey back to Montana was treacherous, losing his wife Alexandra, Julia Schlapfer, in the process, at least temporarily, only added to his suffering. But his suffering has also forged him into a hardened warrior, making him precisely what the Duttons need in the impending war. Season 2 will undoubtedly see Spencer arriving in Montana just in time to step into the fray. With Jacob severely wounded and Cara fighting to hold things together, Spencer's role as the family's enforcer becomes increasingly clear. Where Jacob once led with a combination of wisdom and strength, Spencer is likely to take a more brutal, no-holds-barred approach to protecting the land that his family has shed so much blood for. A man of war in a land of conflict. Spencer's experience in battle is a stark contrast to Jacob's more measured leadership. Having fought in World War I and survived countless near-death experiences in Africa, Spencer understands the cost of war on a personal level. However, his time away has also given him a unique perspective. He has seen the world beyond Montana, beyond the narrow feuds of cattlemen and sheepherders, and he knows what true power looks like. Where Jacob may have been willing to negotiate, Spencer may not. He is a man who has already lost too much, and the idea of losing his family's home is likely to ignite a ruthless streak in him. Season 2 will likely explore just how far he is willing to go to defend his family. Will he uphold the Duttons' code of honor, or will he embrace the darkness within him to ensure the ranch's survival? Spencer versus Donald Whitfield, the clash to come. Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, has emerged as the Duttons' greatest threat yet, a ruthless tycoon with the wealth and power to force the family off their land. Season 1 made it clear that Whitfield is playing a long game, using financial and legal tactics to squeeze the Duttons into submission. But Spencer's arrival changes everything. Unlike Jacob, who understands the intricacies of land ownership and cattle politics, Spencer is a force of nature. He operates on instinct and survival, which means Whitfield's corporate maneuvering may not faze him. Spencer isn't the type to be intimidated by money. He's seen real danger, and he knows how to fight it head-on. This sets the stage for an explosive confrontation between two men who refuse to back down. Whitfield may have the money, but Spencer has the will to survive, and a family that depends on him. Season 2 will likely see the two locked in a battle that will determine the future of the Yellowstone Ranch, with Spencer using both brains and brawn to counter Whitfield's every move. The ghosts of Spencer's past. Spencer's return to Montana won't be without its complications. While he may be ready to fight, he is also a man carrying a great deal of trauma. The horrors of war, the pain of losing Alexandra, and the guilt of being away from his family for so long will weigh heavily on him. This internal struggle could be both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. Will Spencer's rage and sorrow push him to become the savior the Duttons need, or will it consume him before he can fulfill his destiny? The emotional weight of his return will undoubtedly add depth to 1923's narrative, making his journey one of redemption as much as vengeance. The future of the Dutton legacy. If there's one thing Yellowstone fans have learned from Taylor Sheridan's storytelling, it's that the Duttons never go down without a fight. Spencer's return in 1923 Season 2 sets the stage for an epic battle that will define the family's legacy for generations to come. With the ranch's survival on the line, Spencer must navigate not only external threats, but also his own inner demons. He is a man forged by war, returning home to fight yet another one. Whether he emerges victorious or pays the ultimate price remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. Spencer Dutton is about to leave his mark on the war for Yellowstone, and the echoes of his actions will be felt across the entire Yellowstone timeline.